Stop everything. Because Leonardo DiCaprio has just revealed a truth about Kate Winslet that completely blindsided Hollywood. For decades, fans thought they knew the real story. But Leo's confession at 55 shattered every rumor, every theory, and every assumption. What he finally admitted about their relationship is so unexpected, so explosive, that even Kate herself wasn't ready for it. Brace yourself. This changes everything. Shock. That was the only word fans could agree on. It wasn't the usual Hollywood buzz, the standard headline, or a predictable quote from Leonardo DiCaprio. No, this was different. It happened during a quiet press event. Unassuming, almost ordinary. There were no flashing lights, no dramatic stage setup, just a simple room filled with journalists, cameras, and a man who has been at the pinnacle of Hollywood for decades. Leonardo DiCaprio, now 55, was seated across from a journalist asking what everyone assumed would be a safe, predictable question about his illustrious career. But then, something extraordinary happened. Leonardo paused, a small, knowing smile forming on his lips. It was the kind of smile that hinted at secrets long held, stories carefully kept away from public ears. The kind of smile that made you lean in closer, even if you didn't realize it. And then, almost casually, he said, "I think it's finally time I tell the real story about Kate." The words hung in the air. Silence fell so heavy it was almost tangible. Cameras froze mid-click. Journalists blinked in disbelief, and even the seasoned PR teams in the room seemed caught off guard. For over 30 years, the world had been obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Their on-screen chemistry, the warmth of their friendship, the whispered theories that occasionally made tabloid headlines, and the countless rumors that swirled with every award season, interview, or public appearance. But never, not once, had Leo hinted at the truth that had been quietly waiting in the wings. Until this moment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where our story truly begins. Because the truth, as Leo was about to reveal, was not about romance. It was not about scandal. It was about something far deeper, far more human, a bond that defied the glitz, the cameras, the constant scrutiny, and even time itself. A bond that had survived Hollywood's relentless spotlight, the pressures of fame, and decades of assumptions from fans and critics alike. The room remained tense, every journalist leaning in slightly, sensing they were about to witness a rare moment. For Leonardo, this was not just an interview. It was a confession, a revelation, a chance to finally let the world in on something he had protected for years. The kind of thing that, once spoken aloud, could never be taken back. And then he began to speak, not loudly, not dramatically, but with the calm, deliberate tone of someone who had waited patiently for the right moment. Kate and I, we share something that people will never understand. It's bigger than friendship, bigger than what you see on screen. And I've never spoken about it, because it wasn't meant for anyone's eyes but ours. But now, I think the world deserves to know the truth. As he spoke, the atmosphere in the room shifted. This wasn't the casual Hollywood anecdote fans were used to hearing. This was intimate, personal, and rare, a glimpse into a side of Leonardo DiCaprio that few had ever seen. The cameras continued to roll, the journalists scribbled furiously, and yet, for a moment, it felt like time itself had slowed, allowing the weight of his words to settle. For decades, speculation had been rampant. Were they secretly in love? Did Hollywood chemistry on-screen translate into a real-life relationship? Were there fights, reconciliations, untold stories behind closed doors? Millions had asked these questions, but only Leonardo held the answers. And now, at 55, he was ready to finally share them. It was a revelation not just about the two legendary actors, but about loyalty, trust, and a rare human connection in a world dominated by fame and pretense. A connection that had quietly endured, unshaken, through awards, box office battles, and the constant glare of public attention. The truth was about to redefine everything fans thought they knew, not just about Leonardo and Kate, but about the meaning of friendship and trust in Hollywood. And as the cameras continued to record, one thing became abundantly clear. This was not just another celebrity story. This was history quietly unfolding, and the world was about to witness it firsthand. And with that simple, shocking sentence, Leonardo DiCaprio opened a door to a story that had been waiting decades to be told. A story of loyalty, unspoken promises, and a bond that no one, not even the public, had truly understood. To truly understand what Leonardo DiCaprio was about to reveal at 55, we have to take a journey back to 1996, the year that would unknowingly change not just Hollywood, but two young actors' lives forever. That year, the scripts for a film called Titanic landed in the hands of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. No one, not even the stars themselves, could have predicted the storm of fame, emotion, and connection that was about to unfold. Leonardo was just 21, full of ambition but still finding his footing in the vast, unpredictable world of Hollywood. Kate was only 20, equally talented, fiercely determined, and already showing signs of the remarkable actress she would become. On paper, they were simply two rising stars cast to portray fictional lovers aboard a doomed ship. But what happened behind the camera was something the world would never forget. From the very first rehearsal, an unusual spark emerged, something neither expected nor understood at the time. Leo would later describe it in a way that perfectly captured the authenticity of their connection. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, and neither was I. We could just be real. It wasn't about lines or performances. It wasn't about looking good for the camera or impressing directors. It was about two young people meeting each other with honesty, vulnerability, and trust, something so rare, especially in the pressure cooker environment of a blockbuster film. Kate herself later reflected on those early days. After one particularly intense scene, she leaned over to a crew member and whispered, almost instinctively, "I think I just met someone who's going to be in my life forever." Little did she know, she was right. That moment, small and almost unnoticed at the time, planted the seeds of a bond that would endure for decades. Filming Titanic was far from glamorous. The icy waters, the grueling stunts, and the emotional demands of the story were brutal. Hours on end were spent in frigid water tanks. The cold would seep into bones, the long days would drain spirits, and the emotional intensity of the story often left both actors raw and vulnerable. Yet in the midst of this chaos, something extraordinary was happening. Whenever Kate shivered from the cold, Leonardo was there with a blanket, shielding her, offering comfort. Whenever Leonardo doubted a line, questioning if he could truly capture the depth of his character, Kate was there with encouragement, reminding him of his talent and grounding him in the moment. These weren't gestures meant for the cameras or for publicity. They were quiet acts of care, of understanding, of human connection. Slowly, over long days and shared hardships, they built something beyond friendship. It was more than camaraderie or professional respect. It was a pact, unspoken yet unbreakable. A pact that said, "Without words, I've got you." Always. That pact carried them through countless challenges, on screen and off. It was tested by fame, by media speculation, by rumors that tried to paint their relationship in ways neither wanted. Yet through it all, the bond endured. It was forged not in publicity stunts or red carpet appearances, but in those quiet, authentic moments behind the camera. Moments of laughter, shared exhaustion, and simple human care. This bond, the one formed amidst freezing water, emotional scenes, and relentless pressure, would remain with them for a lifetime. It was a friendship so rare, so real, that would survive Hollywood's relentless scrutiny and the passing of decades. And when Leonardo, at 55, spoke about Kate, this is exactly what he was referring to. Not romance, not scandal, not headlines, just an enduring, unshakable connection that began on the set of Titanic in 1996. A connection that showed the world that sometimes the deepest relationships aren't the ones we declare publicly. They are the ones quietly nurtured, protected, and cherished away from the spotlight. Years passed, and Titanic didn't just succeed, it exploded. It became a global phenomenon that no one had anticipated. Overnight, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet went from talented young actors to household names. Their faces were plastered on magazine covers around the world. Interviews, talk shows, and fan events followed one another relentlessly. Every public appearance sparked headlines. Every smile, glance, or interaction between them was scrutinized, analyzed, and dissected. Fan theories ran wild. The rumor mill churned with endless speculation. Were they secretly dating? Was their on-screen chemistry more than just acting? Hollywood's gossip columns were filled with bold and often false assumptions. Romance rumors flooded the tabloids, creating an image that neither Leonardo nor Kate had asked for, and one they never really wanted to live up to. But behind the glitz and the relentless spotlight, the truth was far different. Away from the cameras, the interviews, and the paparazzi, Leo and Kate built something entirely private. A universe untouched by fame, pressure, or speculation. It was a space where they could be themselves, unguarded and authentic, a sanctuary in a world that demanded perfection. And it was during a now-famous interview that Leonardo finally spoke about it openly for the first time in decades. Calm, deliberate, and with that characteristic half-smile, he said, "We made an unspoken promise. We never defined it. We never labeled it. But we said, no matter where life takes us, we protect each other." Those words were simple, yet they carried the weight of years of loyalty, trust, and unbreakable friendship. For most people, the world assumed that their bond was rooted in romance. But that assumption missed the truth entirely. Their connection was never about Hollywood fantasies or love affairs. It was about survival, about finding someone who could anchor them amidst the chaos of fame. It was about having a person in your corner when the world seems determined to tear you down. Over the years, whenever Leonardo faced public criticism, whenever rumors threatened to overshadow his work or his character, Kate quietly defended him. She did not do it for publicity, nor did she make grand gestures. She simply showed up, steadfast, unwavering, without needing anyone to notice. And the same was true for Leonardo. Whenever Kate struggled through personal challenges, major life transitions, emotional hardships, or moments of self-doubt, he was there, silently and privately. No cameras, no headlines, just support, loyalty, and presence. Kate once revealed something that perfectly encapsulates this extraordinary bond. "He's the person I call when I'm overwhelmed, and he always answers." Think about that for a moment. In an industry obsessed with appearances, with scandal, with attention, these two found something rare and genuine. They promised to protect each other, not for fame, not for the world's eyes, but for the simple, human reason that some people are too precious to lose. That was the promise. That was the truth Leonardo had kept quietly, privately, for decades. And now, finally, he shared it with the world. A truth that spoke not of romance or glamour, but of loyalty, trust, and the kind of friendship that can survive everything Hollywood throws its way. This revelation changed the narrative entirely. It showed fans that while the world might have focused on the imagined romance, the real story, the story that mattered most, was far more profound. It was about two people who became each other's anchors, guardians, and safe haven. A friendship that didn't need labels, declarations, or public validation. A bond that spoke louder than any scandal, more powerful than any headline, and more enduring than fame itself. And that, finally, is what Leonardo DiCaprio revealed. Not a secret romance, not a dramatic confession, but a lesson in loyalty, love, and the quiet, unshakable power of true friendship. One that endured for decades and would likely endure for a lifetime. But there was one moment, just one private, unforgettable moment, that Leonardo DiCaprio finally decided to share with the world. It wasn't a headline-making scandal, it wasn't a flirtatious secret, and it wasn't a story anyone could have predicted. It was a glimpse into the depth of a bond that had quietly endured decades beyond fame, beyond cameras, beyond public speculation. This moment occurred years after Titanic, on the set of Revolutionary Road. By this time, both Leonardo and Kate were older, more seasoned actors, seasoned not only by their craft, but by the roller coaster of Hollywood fame and public scrutiny. They had each faced personal challenges, professional highs and lows, and the constant pressure that comes with being in the spotlight. Yet, when they reunited on this film, something extraordinary resurfaced, the raw, unshakable connection they had built decades earlier. According to Leo, one particular day stands out above all the rest. The two were filming a highly emotional scene, the kind that requires every ounce of vulnerability an actor can summon. But this time, the emotion overwhelmed Kate. The director called cut, signaling that the scene was over, but Kate didn't move. She remained frozen, her tears streaming freely down her face. Not as an actor, not rehearsing a character. She was simply overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment, the weight of emotions she had carried silently through years of life, fame, and expectations. It was then that Leonardo stepped in. He didn't speak to the director, he didn't address the crew, and he didn't even think about the cameras that might have captured the moment. He walked over to Kate, gently held her shoulders, and said words that would define the essence of their lifelong bond. "Hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Those words, simple and unadorned, carried a weight far beyond what any Hollywood script could convey. And in that embrace, Kate broke down completely. She let go of the exhaustion, the pressure, the years of maintaining composure under the unforgiving public eye. She was vulnerable, raw, human, and for the first time in a long time, she felt completely safe to release everything. During a later interview, Leonardo reflected on that moment, revealing its profound significance. "That was when I realized something. She isn't just a friend. She's family. She's the person who knows the real me, before the fame, before the noise, before everything." For fans who had long speculated about their extraordinary on-screen chemistry, this revelation offered a stunning answer. That magnetic connection, the way they could convey deep emotion, tension, or intimacy without even touching a scene, wasn't manufactured. It wasn't romantic tension carefully staged for cameras. It was born from trust, from decades of witnessing each other's vulnerabilities, supporting one another, and standing firm through the challenges of life and fame. This trust, Leo explained, is rare. The kind of trust most people never get to experience in their entire lives. It's the knowledge that someone sees the real you, the unfiltered, unpolished, unglamorous version, and still chooses to stand by you. It's the understanding that in a world constantly judging, criticizing, and projecting, there is one person whose support is unwavering, whose loyalty is unconditional. That day on Revolutionary Road, Leo and Kate didn't need dialogue, cameras, or applause. What they shared was beyond acting. It was human connection at its purest form. The kind of bond that doesn't fade with years, doesn't crack under pressure, and cannot be replicated by fame, fortune, or Hollywood storytelling. It is rare, sacred, and enduring. Fans often fixated on romance or assumed tension between them. But Leonardo clarified with heartfelt sincerity that what people saw on screen stemmed from something far more powerful, a profound, mutual trust that allowed them to be completely vulnerable with one another. That trust, nurtured since their Titanic days and fortified through decades of life, became the invisible foundation beneath every scene, every glance, every emotional moment they ever shared on screen. In that moment, and through that revelation, the world finally glimpsed the truth about Leonardo and Kate. It wasn't scandalous. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't something to gossip about. It was the quiet power of loyalty, compassion, and unwavering support. A reminder that sometimes the deepest, most extraordinary connections are the ones that never make headlines, but change lives all the same. And that, Leonardo revealed, is why their bond remains unbreakable to this day. Not love, not fame, not fortune, but trust. The kind of trust that transforms friendship into family, and family into a lifeline that endures through everything life throws their way. So, after decades of speculation, rumors, and relentless media scrutiny, the question finally arose: What did Leonardo DiCaprio really expose at the age of 55? Fans and journalists alike leaned in, anticipating some scandalous confession, a shocking revelation, or perhaps a headline that would dominate every magazine cover. But what Leo revealed was none of that. There was no scandal, no dramatic confession, nothing that would fit the expectations of Hollywood gossip. Instead, it was something far more surprising, far more human, and infinitely more meaningful. In the middle of a calm press event, with cameras rolling and millions of fans watching around the world, Leonardo finally spoke the words he had carried for decades. Kate is the reason I survived Hollywood. She grounded me. She kept me honest. She kept me real. She's been the constant in a life that hasn't always made sense. And the truth is, I don't think I'd be the man I am today without her. The reaction in the room was immediate. A collective gasp. Not because the statement was shocking in the sensational sense, but because it was genuine. It was raw. It was a truth that had been buried under layers of rumors, fan theories, and misinterpretations for over 30 years. For decades, the world had chased a romantic fantasy, a narrative of love, passion, or scandal. But Leonardo set the record straight in a single, heartfelt declaration. He went on to clarify something even more remarkable. For years, audiences had assumed that the deep connection between him and Kate must have been romantic. But Leonardo's words shattered that misconception. We were never in love, but we love each other. She's my lifelong partner in a way that doesn't need a label. Think about that for a moment. In an industry obsessed with drama, headlines, and public displays of affection, Leonardo's revelation was revolutionary. He wasn't talking about romance, fame, or Hollywood fantasy. He was talking about loyalty, trust, and a lifelong bond that transcended the superficial. It was about finding someone who truly understands you, who has been by your side through life's turbulence, and who has never wavered, even when the world around you has. Kate Winslet, for her part, echoed these sentiments with her own heartfelt message. She emphasized that the world often demands dramatic stories, sensational scandals, or romantic intrigue. But reality, she explained, is often far more meaningful than what headlines suggest. She said, "People always want the dramatic story, but the real story is better. Leo has been my safe place for 30 years. And that's the truth." And there it was, the ultimate revelation. Not a secret romance, not a Hollywood scandal, not a story to sell magazines, but the truth about a bond built on decades of care, protection, and unwavering support. A relationship that doesn't require labels, social validation, or dramatics. In a world where celebrity friendships are often fleeting, superficial, or performative, Leonardo and Kate's connection stands out as rare, authentic, and extraordinary. Their bond is a testament to the idea that true companionship doesn't need public acknowledgement or sensational headlines to matter. What they share has endured quietly and powerfully through decades of fame, scrutiny, and life's inevitable ups and downs. The sincerity of Leonardo's words reminded everyone why audiences were drawn to him in the first place. Beyond the accolades, the films, and the red carpet appearances, there's a man who values authenticity, loyalty, and deep human connection. And his tribute to Kate shows that sometimes the most extraordinary stories aren't the ones splashed across tabloids. They're the ones quietly lived, faithfully nurtured, and deeply cherished behind closed doors. Ultimately, Leonardo's revelation at 55 wasn't just about his relationship with Kate Winslet. It was a reminder to the world that love, trust, and friendship can be just as profound, transformative, and enduring as romance. That the bonds we hold closest, whether they are romantic, platonic, or somewhere in between, shape who we are more than any fame, fortune, or achievement ever could. And as fans listened to those words, they understood something profound. The story they had imagined for decades was not the story that mattered. The truth, the quiet, enduring truth, was far more powerful, far more human, and far more inspiring than anyone could have anticipated.